Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms, and this is another episode of Jungle Talk. But you see that you know what? I was going
the Jets day.
I was going to wear a scary mask for Halloween and everything, but after this game, I think that was scary enough. I think you've all been scared enough. And I even broke out one of my loser jerseys. This is a Billy Price jersey, okay? So that tells you that on a day like today, you break out the first round bust jersey, the loser jersey, and you just own it. So like I said, this is an episode of Jungle Talk. I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Sam Schneider, Primetime Sports Talk. Tell them where they can find all your stuff.
Sure, you can find me on Twitter at Buy and Sell You. You can find Primetime Sports Talk at primetimesportstalk.com or on Twitter at Talk Primetime.
So, well, I'm sure all of you didn't expect to have this kind of show to watch afterwards. We didn't think we'd be filming this kind of show afterwards.
We don't even want to do it.
We don't even want to do it. The Mike Hilton call pissed me off because we had a chance to tie or win the game, and I think that hands down was a blown call. I don't know what you expect Mike Hilton to do, but that withstanding, we shouldn't even have been in that situation. We go up 11, but we're going to go through all of this.
I mean, before you even get into it, Mark, I'll just go ahead and agree with you. First of all, this is like the third straight show that I'm coming with no notes because the knee-jerk reaction is all I really needed. Twice it was because of wins. Today it was because of a loss. I don't need to write down stats. I don't need to look them up. Doesn't matter. But I'm with you. That Hilton call was complete BS. It was complete BS.
Yeah.
But I also agree with you that we should have never even been in that position against the New York Jets. It's ridiculous.
But if we had gotten that call, if that call hadn't happened and we had gotten the ball and then we would have failed, or if we had gotten to tie the game and then go and lose it in overtime, I would have accepted the loss more. Here we had an opportunity, had him on a 3rd and 11. We should be out of the game. We hold them on 4th down. And that's, I don't know what you expect the defender to do. He lowers, he goes low to make sure he doesn't, and the receiver puts his head down and initiates the contact. And this is where I talk about the officials are not held accountable. They need to be held. I want to know who threw that flag. I want all of the NFL to know that public report on officiating and how crews do and all that. We should all know that. There's legal gambling on this. If I was playing the stock market and there was manipulation or bad things being done behind the scenes, it's all public. The SEC goes in and it's all public. The NFL there's no accountability among the officials, and that bothers me. But,
yeah, and you're absolutely right. It was textbook tackling. He was going low to make a solid tackle. But the receiver lowered his head, so they went helmet to helmet. And obviously, we don't want to see helmet to helmet. I don't think anybody wants to see their opponent being injured, their own player being injured, any of those things. But Hilton did it like by the book. And on the field, they were like, no. And it's just unbelievable. It's amazing. But like you said, we should never have been in that position.
Right. But still, I would like accountability. I would like to know I would like reports, just like at the stock market. If I've got bad CEOs or a bad controller or whoever it is, we can find all that out. I want to know who the bad officials are, so I avoid betting on those games. If we've got an official that has a history or a crew that has a history, this stuff needs to be public. There needs to be accountability at the officials level, and there isn't right now. So that needs to change. But that's a whole other story. We could do a whole show on that.
We sure could.
So I can go through. I'm just going to run through this list real quick, and you can pick which ones you want to talk about. Eli Apple, okay? It's
terrible. Terrible. It's my fault. It's my fault, Mark. It's my fault because after bitching about him for 6 weeks, I gave him a lot of credit last week, and then this week, garbage. Back to complete Complete friggin' garbage.
Like I said, I don't think we had given up more than 23 points at all this year. We give up 34 to the Jets. 5 consecutive drives they scored on. I hated the 4th down call when we went for it. I was like, they had already driven down the field. This was our first possession. Now, I know we got the pick and everything, but the bottom line is just take the 3 points on your first possession. You set a bad tone for the game. It's just I didn't like that.
Early in the game, you take the points. That's like a football thing. If it's early in the game, you take the points. If it's late in the game, I get it. You can go for it. You can say, hey, I'm trying to make a move to make a statement and win this game. But early in the game, when points are just handed to you, you take them.
Yeah. Well, when we took our first possession down, we got stymied. Take the 3 points, 7-3, move on. Instead, you get their whole defense fired up. Now, I know we got an interception and we got the ball back immediately, but the bottom line is I didn't like that 4th down call. I hated the challenge on the Mixon touchdown. I hated that challenge. We would have been second and short. Now, I know we had been stymied on another one. That's where, not making it on 4th down, maybe get Zach to challenge that play. We should have never challenged that play. So,
yeah, see, I think I disagree a little bit on that because when watching in real time, I was okay with the challenge.
But they had the commercial break and they got to see all the replays, and you could clearly see that when he gets control of the ball, he's behind the line. So to me, that was
but I still disagree, Mark, because I still think the ball was touching the front of the white line, and that's all you need.
But he didn't have possession yet. It's when he secures it. So, like I said, that there's not enough there to overturn it. So why challenge it? I just didn't like it.
And this is once again, I think we both agree. This is once again a situation where we shouldn't have been in that position.
Right.
We should not have been worrying about that. It shouldn't have had to matter.
If he kicks the field goal on our first drive, he's probably not even thinking about challenging that, because he goes, it's second down with less than a yard. We'll punch it in. But his brain's already, that's what I said about your psyche. I remember a Bengals game where we drove right down the field. It just was an Andy Dalton run offense. We drove right down the field, got into a 1st and goal, and got stymied against Pittsburgh, and it set the tone for the whole day.
Sure.
If the Bengals go in and get points to start the game, it sets a different tone. But to drive all the way downfield on an 8-minute drive, not score, and that's what that kind of did. And then this defense got inspired, and we never got out from that. So,
well, I think we should also mention that you make a great point about setting the tone. This is the Bengals, believe it or not, are in a position now where they're going to get everybody's best shot.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to get teams like the Jets, like the 1-win Jets that are going to, well, now 2, but that are going to give you their best shot. And when they make a stop like that, they're going to get really fired up. You know what I mean? And the Bengals haven't been in that position for quite a while.
Right.
So, along with, the maturity that we're gaining, on offense, on defense, in coaching, we part of that maturity has to also be recognizing that teams are going to come out and give you their best shot. And today was the first time this season that the Bengals looked like they walked in there and thought, we're just going to really clean up against the Jets. And I think all of us fans did too. We're going to clean up against the Jets. This is going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. We're getting out of here. And you can't do that. You're going to get everybody's best shot.
Yeah. So, as much as last week was a team win, this was a team loss.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Burrow holding the ball too long, and I'll go
Yep.
through the rest of these. Our tackling was terrible, especially on the
Horrible.
back out of the backfield. He got 3 or 4 or 5 extra yards every single time. We had chances to keep them in like a 3rd and 8 or 2nd and 8, and instead they were at 2nd and 3 or 3rd and 3 because we gave those extra yards.
Yeah, Michael Carter looked like Walter Payton today.
Yeah, the tackling
I
was
mean, the tackling was just disgusting, and even the guys that we normally rely on, like guys like Awuzie, were just, I mean, trying to arm tackle. They were doing the typical mid-90s Bengals thing, and it was just, I mean, I was having like PTSD. I was
Right.
like, oh my God, I've seen this before, and it doesn't feel good.
It's funny that you bring up stuff from the lost decade. That's how painful.
Right.
You have to go back to the games in the 90s where you, yeah. And like I said, the Jets scoring on 5 straight possessions. I mean, our defense just didn't, as much as they showed up to shut down Lamar, they didn't have that tenacity. And give the Jets some credit in terms of their play calling. They came in with a really good game plan. They executed it. And this is why we talked about also how we would have preferred. I think that was misunderstood in the last video by a couple comments. We preferred Flacco because we know what we have in Flacco. We had no idea what this guy could do. All they had was some mop-up duty from last week, and then they're looking at University of Kentucky footage. That's all they had on this guy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give Robert Saleh and the offensive coordinator. You got to give them both some credit for what they did with Mike White today.
Because who the offensive coordinator is. The offensive coordinator is Mike LaFleur.
Right.
I think he got a little intel from his brother.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think you also need to give. I mean, midway through the first quarter, I was watching Mike White throw the ball, and I was like, holy smokes, like he is zipping that ball. I mean, into tight coverage. And I thought it would have all been dump offs and, tight end crossing routes and everything. And they did protect him in that way that they gave him a lot of those dump off situations and stuff like that. But when they asked him to make a play, he was more than prepared. And I was like, who is, I think a lot of people were like, who is Mike White? Like,
I have a couple Jet fans that are friends of mine. They were texting me and they were like, who needs Zach Wilson? That was basically
right.
They were as shocked as anything, but they were like, wow, we haven't seen this kind of play out of Zach Wilson all year. And this guy gets 1 week of first team reps, and this is what we got. So
yeah, and Flacco wasn't even activated. I mean,
he was in street clothes. Yeah,
the backup who was Josh Jacobs, who we know, Josh Johnson, excuse me, who we know. He came in for a couple plays on the one time that Mike White got knocked down, but Mike White was just, I mean, he was on fire, and but a lot of it was because they gave him the right game plan, and Zach Taylor was right. He said in his presser after the game, we got outcoached and outplayed, and he's 100% correct. You got outcoached badly, and you got outplayed badly in this game.
And now you find yourself not in first place of the division, and the Ravens just sit back and move into first place, and that's it.
Right.
So, and you got a Browns game next week where we didn't look that great. This team did not play well against the run. We're going up against a team that can run the ball next week.
Well, and I know that you always like to mention teams coming off a loss, and the Steelers beat the Browns today.
Yep.
And I kind of wanted that because we were talking about it on Twitter, because I wanted the Steelers to push the Browns further down in the standings. But then once we lost today and we're not riding as high, then I'm more identified with your viewpoint, which was I would rather the Browns were coming off of a win.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess it's 6 in one, half dozen in the other, um, but yeah, that's, so we're going to get a Brown squad next week that's hungry, that's ready to go, and that needs to reassert themselves as being
Right.
contenders. So next week is going to be no joke, and we certainly can't come out the way we did this week against the Jets.
No. And I mean, as Bengal fans, I know we were all looking, going, "Wow, we could maybe 7-2 at the bye week." I mean, now we're going to have to fight to be 6-3, and if
Yeah,
we don't win next week, 5-4 is not the start we were looking for. So,
right.
now next week becomes, and you want to go into the bye week with some positive momentum. You don't want to be like the Chargers, who are coming off today, having to have sat with that Baltimore performance for 2 weeks. We don't want that next week, but we'll get into all that on our preview show.
Right. Sure.
The other bad thing I have is Carmen was hurt. Let's hope he's okay, because Hill
Yeah.
came in the game, and that was immediately committed a holding penalty or a false start. I don't remember, but he had a penalty that put us in the hole right to start the drive. And then
Yeah.
obviously Burrow holds the ball too long. We get some tip passes, and we blow an 11-point lead. It's like a lifetime ago when they took the lead. It was 31-20, and you were just like, oh, okay, Even
Right.
when we gave up the
Smooth
score,
sailing.
you were like, okay, we're up 4. We'll just drive downfield, at least get a field goal, make it a score game, and the tip ball and the interception, and all of a sudden you gave up a quick 14 points, and in a matter of
today,
seconds.
I was watching today, and I was like, you know what? There's only 4.5 minutes to go. I'm pretty sure we're okay. And next thing you know, you're like, oh no, we're not. We're completely not okay. But it's funny you mentioned, Trey Hill coming in because he got abused immediately. As I said, I was like,
Right.
man, if I'm the defensive coordinator on New York, I'm rushing that side of the line right away.
They did. They did.
And it plays right into, and this is not self-promotion, but the trade deadline piece I did for Primetime Sports Talk mentions, that our offensive line has played very, very well this year, but the depth is an issue. And part of that depth issue is that Trey Hill is not ready. He's
Right.
not even near ready. And that was one of the things I wrote up in there, and I'll throw it in the comments for anybody that didn't see it last week. But Carmen has played well, although he got abused pretty early this game as well. But then when he went out, it was even worse with Trey Hill at right guard.
Right. Yeah. For those of you who don't follow it, Sam's article was on my Twitter feed. I retweeted it. It's also been posted. I put it on everything. So it's also been posted to the LA Bengal fan Facebook page, the Jungle Talk Facebook page, as well as, like I said, on my Twitter line and your Twitter line. So great article. I read it last night and immediately, shared it. So you should be following those. Follow us here, obviously, and you should be following those pages so you can get, Sam's up-to-date stuff. So
yeah, basically it's just a write-up of a couple possible trades. I know that trades don't happen a lot in the NFL, but Primetime Sports Talk did a whole series where every team is addressed, and you can find a link to all of the other teams within that article. But I threw up, 3 possibilities, that I thought wouldn't cost us too much, but would add a lot to our team. But, regardless, like Mark said, if you're watching this right now, smash that subscribe button down there. Where is it, Mark?
It's that way.
Yeah, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, and keep following these. And I'll throw my articles in the comments. But we appreciate you guys watching.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter, follow Facebook. Like I said, I put up Sam's articles on the LA Bengal fan and the Jungle Talk Facebook pages, as well as the LA Bengal fan and Jungle Talk Twitter account. So
yeah, I didn't mean to.
No. It was a good article, and that's why
away from the game. But
to play anything you can do to get away from the game, you're doing our listeners a favor.
Pretty much.
I have two things written down here for good. Just so we say something positive on the Bates return. one of the things I noticed was Hubbard is down there blocking for Bates, and then the quarterback comes in to try to make a tackle, and he immediately just kind of gets in the way of him but doesn't touch him, because the last thing you want to do, he wants Bates to get in the end zone. The last thing you want to do is commit a penalty right there. So I was a heady play. I just noticed how he immediately saw who it was, because he was just going to lay him out. And he says, you know what? Let's not get
no, thank you. No, thank you.
I thought that was very smart field awareness on Hubbard's part. Hubbard actually had a good game. He tipped a lot of balls today, but and then a couple interceptions were good. Bates and Pratt had the nice picks, but all of that gets forgotten because because of this loss, and we just kind of all the everything, all the momentum, everything is just gone this week. And now you got to start over and rebuild it. So it starts next week with a win. Like I said, I'm not going to pick on any one group, because this was an entire team loss, just like
you can't. You can't. So, you're absolutely right. You cannot pick on one group. This is a team loss. I mean, I would well, not love, but I would have liked to be in that locker room after the game. Because I think everyone recognized that everyone failed.
Yeah,
everyone failed. There was absolutely no push in the middle of the defensive line. Hendrickson and Hubbard got around the corner a lot, but they could never seal the deal.
Right.
Whereas last week they put tons of pressure on Lamar Jackson of all people. And for anybody that's watching, Mike White is not Lamar Jackson, for crying out loud. So, I think we for all the talk that we do about our game plan and maybe getting ahead and putting our foot on the pedal and not letting up, there's also a broader sense in that this season we have kept our foot on the pedal and kept pressing because we've been doubted. And then today, going into this game, totally let our foot off the gas.
Yeah.
As a team.
I reminded everybody on the preview, I said, this Jet team lost 26-0 to Denver. They came back the next week and beat the Titans.
Yeah, so it turns out Denver's not very good.
They had a 50 burger thrown on them last week, and they came back and beat us. So they have 2 wins. They've beaten the Titans and us. So, those are quality wins. And
I mean, this could end up being, the type of win that saves Robert Saleh from getting.
I think he's got more than a year, but I think he's got more than a year.
I think so too, but I think he was on such a hot seat that it could have been in the next couple of weeks that he was out the door.
Yeah.
And at least he beats, can you believe it? A pretty good team.
Both, like I said, the wins are against winning teams, and then they get shut out by the
whoever saved their job by beating the Bengals. But I'll take it that people are looking at us that way. But we just got, Zach Taylor said it best. Like I said earlier, we got outcoached, we got outplayed. Anarumo's defense was horrible. Anarumo's play calls were horrible. Zach Taylor's offensive play calls were horrible. And none of the players executed. So let's just hope it's a flash in the pan.
Right. Well, and you could tell Burrow, when he got intercepted and then they scored and took the lead, you could see the anger in his face. So this isn't going to sit well with him. This isn't going to sit well with any of these guys. I think we come out next week with some fire in our eyes. And the Browns certainly, we had the Steelers today, and what was it, like 15-11, 10 or something?
15-10, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that was a typical ugly game, but they're not exactly the juggernaut in terms of putting up points right now with Baker Mayfield, one-arm Baker Mayfield. So
he's only got one arm, and the one arm he has isn't the one he throws with.
Right.
So I mean, they're having their own issues, but again, just like this game today, we can't go into that, assuming that we're gonna do something. And of course, we'll talk about that in the preview. But
yeah, well, like I said, we do have it's back in the jungle. This is the end of a 3-game road trip. We went 2-1 on the trip. We obviously expected to win this game and probably lose the Baltimore game. It went the other way. This is our first loss in the AFC. We were undefeated in the AFC, which is why we were the 1 seed. Now we've lost to the Jets. So, but I'll take the division win over Baltimore over the Jets because division wins are the first tiebreaker for the
yeah, I mean, we can sit here and be really upset about this game. It's fine to be upset about the game. It's fine to be upset about the way we played. But as a whole on the season, we've played very well. And I just don't want to see Bengals fans who are, we're often notorious for this. As soon as one thing goes wrong, we're just throwing our hands up and saying, it was all a mirage to begin with.
Right.
This is a good team. So let's just see. I think this is the next test. Let's see how they bounce back.
Right.
Zach Taylor's the type of coach who can get you to bounce back. He's a culture guy, whether you like his play calling or not. He's a culture dude, and he gets his locker room, together and form a cohesive unit. So this is a huge test for him and the team as a whole.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Like I said, we needed to learn how to win. We also need to see how this team responds after a disappointing loss, a game you were supposed to win that you didn't win. That's the first one we've had this year. So, this team's growing, like I said, and this can be, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Let's hopefully that's
you know what? I'd be remiss if I didn't use my broken record take, Mark. Can I do it?
Sure.
It's the 4th youngest team in the NFL.
There you go.
And they're doing pretty okay considering that.
Yeah, I agree. So, well, like I said, please subscribe. Sam, tell them where they can find all your stuff because you should be following Sam's sports stuff. He does some great articles on Primetime Sports Talk.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. I do write for Primetime Sports Talk. You can find me on Twitter at BuyAndSellYou, primetimesportstalk.com, or at Talk Primetime on Twitter. And I would like to mention, aside the fact that Mark can be found at LA Bengals Fan on Twitter and most of the other major platforms, we also are excited about the possibility of having a very special guest for our Cleveland Browns preview show, and another very, very big guest for our bye week. Yes. So make sure you keep watching because these guys are not to be missed.
No, and we have a really good shows planned for the week. And I'm going to even throw another teaser out there. We will be doing our recap show if everything technically goes correct. On the Vegas game, Sam and I are both going to be in Vegas for that game. Sam's flying in from Cincinnati. I'm flying in from LA. We will be at that game. We'll be doing our recap from the hotel room or wherever. I don't know where we'll be. Maybe outside the stadium.
Who knows?
I'm just going to bring my iPad. We might do it right in the parking lot of the stadium. We might record it. So I don't know what we're going to do, but so we've got some exciting stuff, and our preview might actually occur while you're in Vegas. I'm coming up Saturday, but you're going to be there earlier, so we may be recording our preview while you're already there.
That's right. I fly in I fly in that Thursday night. Yeah.
So we're going to see. So we've got some exciting stuff. So please subscribe. You don't want to miss any of this. I know this was a downer week. We're going to bounce back next week against the Browns.
We sure will.
Put up our usual preview Thursday. Try to get it up, 6 o'clock PST and then at 9, 10 o'clock East Coast time. But look for that. And with that, I'm going to say hooray, everybody.
Hooray!
All right. Hang in there, everybody. We'll see you Thursday.